Don't encourage him.
My kids in the front row so embarrassed.
Yeah.
Yes.
We got
What's
three of
up,
the close
family?
kids here.
No, listen,
Don't worry, guys. I promise I won't bring you up.
If your kids aren't embarrassed, it ain't working. You didn't do it right.
There are so many wives right now looking at their husbands like, honey, why can't you do that? Like, you've never been on Men's Health, but maybe you are expendable. No, I'm just kidding, Only kidding, it's Father's Day. Don't get rude. But the last two gatherings have been absolutely incredible. It's such an honor, privilege to have you both here, and I think you're going to just really, really enjoy this. I encourage you, lean in, take notes. But sometimes people look at success and they can think that people are like an overnight success. Like there was no struggle, it's just like, you just like woke up successful. You had an opportunity I have not had. But that's so far from the case, that you guys have fought battles that no one has seen, that you were faithful for so many years. And so to people who think that it's an overnight success, how would you answer that? How would you speak to that?
Oh man, that's a long night. Let's just say that. First of all, my wife and I are from what you would call the armpits of the United States. It's Flint, Michigan, and Gary, Indiana have gone through the worst things that you could ever imagine in American history. I mean, when you talk about Flint, it went through the demise of the auto industry, then the rise of the crack epidemic, then it was the murder capital per capita in the United States, trading places with Gary, Indiana, over the course of like.
It's like, nope, it's our turn. Okay.
I'm like, you won this year. That's crazy. And then the water crisis. A lot of people have heard about Flint, Michigan, and the water crisis, and people actually being poisoned by drinking the water. You know, it's crazy. I drank the water my whole life. 18 years growing up in Flint, Michigan, I was in it, and it was, I'm gonna tell you, people think, oh my God, you're famous, you're doing all this stuff. But let me tell you, when in those kind of circumstances, really, it's almost like you could, when you have that kind of thing and those kind of, you know, really dark days and time, it actually highlights how far you can go. It really, like for me, it was like a shot out of a cannon, because all I wanted to do was survive and get out. And I'm gonna tell you, it's not, I know a lot of people here that have been through crazy, wild circumstances, and I'm here to tell you that God has something else for each and every one of you, for real.
Well, he jokes about the armpits. It's really, really the truth. Flint went through the auto industry crash. Well, at the same time, Gary, Indiana was going through the steel industry crash. So Gary was a city that was built on the U.S. Steel mill. And so that's why people joke you could smell it every time you drove through on the way to Chicago. Well, we were a big city. We had like 9 high schools, we had multiple schools, and the entire city was employed by the steel mill. So in the 80s, when steel went foreign, like the city collapsed. And literally you saw the influx of gangs, we had white flight, we had drugs, crack, all of that. To the point where there were very few people on every level that were not affected by this crisis. I lived in a very upper middle class neighborhood. My dad was an attorney, my mother was in financial services, and every young male in my neighborhood either was addicted or was selling drugs. Several of them are not alive today. And these were kids with both parents, with professional parents. But it was so hard to escape the decline of the city, and even to the fact that many of the husbands and fathers became alcoholics. I remember it was rare to find a dad in my neighborhood who didn't start drinking. And it was in our minds, there was nothing you could do but escape. And that's really the sad story.
Wow. Yeah, and I want to point out to you guys, any of you guys that think they are an overnight success, I've known Terry and Rebecca, not for the whole journey, but for the last 20 plus years. And when they first came to church, Terry, I think he'd finished his football career and was basically doing some security work. He was on. I remember going to set, and you're basically an extra, and then maybe a little bit more than an extra with 1 or 2 lines. And I saw Terry and Rebecca work their tail off. And I want to say